Carrie never imagined that a normal visit to her mother's clinic would turn her world upside down. When a new receptionist questioned his identity, a strange and humiliating situation unfolded. This disturbing encounter planted seeds of doubt and highlighted deeper questions of identity and belonging. Carrie adjusted the backpack on her shoulders and looked up at the sky, feeling the warmth of the sun on her face. It was a typical Friday afternoon, and she was excited to catch a ride with her mother, as she did every week. She walked towards the clinic where her mother, Dr. Anna, worked as an otolaryngologist. The clinic was a modern and elegant building, located in a quiet neighborhood in Kansas City. Upon entering the reception, Carrie noticed a new receptionist. The woman, with neatly combed blonde hair, was behind the counter, typing quickly on the computer. Carrie gave a polite smile and walked towards the elevator, as she usually did. However, before she could press the button, the receptionist looked up and called out to her. "Excuse me, do you have an appointment?" asked the receptionist, her voice polite but with a tone of suspicion. Carrie turned, surprised by the interruption. "No, I'm Dr. Anna's daughter. I'm going to meet her in her office," she explained, trying to sound friendly. The receptionist frowned, visibly confused. "You're Dr. Anna's daughter?" she repeated, as if she didn't believe it. "The otolaryngologist?" "Yes, that's right," Carrie replied, beginning to feel uncomfortable with the situation. "She's my mother." The receptionist examined her from head to toe, and Carrie felt the suspicion increase. "What's her name?" the woman asked, as if Carrie wouldn't know the answer. Carrie sighed, irritated. "Dr. Anna Pike," she replied, emphasizing each word. "I'm sure of who my mother is." The receptionist still seemed incredulous. "One moment, please," she said, before turning to speak with the nearby security guard. "Can you accompany her to Dr. Anna's office?" she asked, in a tone that made it clear she didn't trust Carrie. Carrie felt the anger rising inside her, but decided not to cause a scene. "All right, let's go," she said to the security guard, who was now by her side, ready to escort her. They went up together in the elevator, and Carrie tried to ignore the embarrassment she felt. Arriving at her mother's office floor, Carrie knocked lightly on the door before entering. Dr. Anna was finishing a consultation with a patient and smiled upon seeing her daughter. "Carrie, dear," her mother exclaimed, "can you wait a minute? I'm almost done here." "Sure, Mom," Carrie replied, sitting in a chair by the door. The security guard, seeing that everything was in order, left quietly. As soon as the patient left, Dr. Anna stood up and hugged Carrie. "How was your day?" she asked, concerned about her daughter's tense expression. "It was complicated," Carrie responded, hesitant to explain what had happened. "But I'll be fine." They went down together in the elevator, talking about trivial matters. When they reached the reception, the same receptionist looked at them, her face showing a mix of surprise and embarrassment. "This is my daughter, Carrie," Dr. Anna said, smiling at the receptionist. "Very beautiful, isn't she?" The receptionist, uncomfortable, tried to hide her astonishment. "Yes," she said. "I almost doubted," she admitted, laughing nervously. "You look like a porcelain doll. Very beautiful. If I had to guess which employee here is her mother, I would say it's one of the cleaners." Carrie felt a lump in her throat and avoided looking at the receptionist. Dr. Anna, sensing the tension, kept her smile, but her voice became a bit colder. "Well, now you know. Have a good day." They left the clinic, and Carrie felt the tears starting to form. She didn't want her mother to see how much it affected her, but it was hard to hide. The walk to the car was silent, each step heavy with the weight of the prejudice she had faced. In the car, Dr. Anna held Carrie's hand. "Do you want to talk about what happened in there?" she asked gently. Carrie shook her head. "Maybe later, Mom. Let's just go home, please." Dr. Anna nodded and started the car, driving in silence. The way home seemed longer than usual, each red light a reminder of the discomfort and humiliation Carrie had felt. She knew that day was not just a day like any other. It was a day that would leave deep marks on her soul and shape her actions in the days to come. After the incident at the clinic, Carrie couldn't shake the look of distrust from the receptionist and the racist comment she made. She felt a mix of anger and sadness. Her mother, noticing her daughter's emotional state, decided they needed to talk. The next morning, while having breakfast, Dr. Anna decided to address the issue. "Carrie, I know yesterday was hard for you. Do you want to talk about it?" she asked, looking into her daughter's eyes. Carrie sighed, stirring her coffee cup. "I don't know, Mom. I feel like I never belong here. Like no matter how hard I try, people will always see me as different." Dr. Anna held her daughter's hand. "You know that's not true. You belong, and you don't need to change anything about yourself to fit in." Carrie nodded, but her mother's words didn't fully comfort her. "I just want to be myself without being questioned all the time." Later that day, Carrie decided she needed to confront the receptionist. She didn't want anyone else to go through what she did. She returned to the clinic and went straight to the reception desk. "Hello?" she said, trying to sound confident. The receptionist looked up, surprised to see Carrie again. "Hello," the woman replied, trying to hide her discomfort. Carrie took a deep breath. "Yesterday, you made some comments that really hurt me. I know you might not have meant any harm, but they were prejudiced and insensitive. I am Dr. Anna's daughter, and that shouldn't be a surprise to you or anyone." The receptionist turned red, visibly embarrassed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend. It's just that, well, you don't look like her." "And why should I?" Carrie retorted, her voice firm. "Appearance doesn't define who we are. I am as much Dr. Anna's daughter as anyone could be." Silence hung in the air, heavy. Others in the reception area watched the exchange, and the receptionist clearly felt pressured. "You're right. I really am sorry. It won't happen again," the receptionist finally said, her voice low. Carrie nodded, feeling a bit of relief. "Thank you. I hope this serves as a lesson for all of us." She turned and left the reception area, feeling a little lighter but aware that there was still much to be done to change mindsets. When she met her mother later, she told her about the confrontation. "I'm proud of you, Carrie. That's not an easy thing to do," Dr. Anna said, hugging her daughter. "I had to do it. For me, and for everyone who faces the same kind of prejudice," Carrie replied. Carrie left the clinic feeling a mix of relief and tension. The confrontation had been necessary, but she knew the repercussions wouldn't end there. Returning home, she tried to focus on other things, but the events of that day kept swirling in her mind. The next day, as she entered the clinic to meet her mother again, Carrie noticed that the atmosphere was different. The receptionist, whom she now knew was named Annette, avoided her gaze. Carrie noticed the whispers and furtive glances from other employees as she walked through the reception area. Going up to the floor where her mother worked, Carrie found Anna talking with Dr. Carlos, the clinic's director. They turned to her as soon as they saw her. "Good morning, Carrie," Dr. Carlos greeted warmly. "Dr. Anna told me about what happened. I'd like to speak with you about it, if you don't mind." Carrie nodded, a bit nervous. "Sure, Dr. Carlos." They went to a small meeting room. Carrie sat next to her mother while Dr. Carlos took the chair opposite them. "First, I want to say how deeply sorry I am for what happened," he began, his voice full of seriousness. "That kind of behavior is not acceptable here, and I've had a serious conversation with Annette." Carrie looked at her mother, who nodded, encouraging her to speak. "Thank you, Dr. Carlos. I just want people to understand that they can't judge others by their appearance," Carrie said, feeling a knot form in her throat. "It hurt me a lot, and I know many other people face this every day." Dr. Carlos nodded, his expression grave. "I completely agree, Carrie. We will reinforce our training on diversity and inclusion to ensure this doesn't happen again." After the meeting, Carrie and her mother left the room, finding Annette standing in the hallway. She seemed hesitant but approached. "Carrie, can I talk to you for a moment?" Annette asked, her voice low. Carrie looked at her mother, who gave her a small nod. "Sure," Carrie replied, following Annette to a more private corner of the hallway. Annette took a deep breath, clearly nervous. I wanted to apologize again. I know I was wrong, and what I did was very wrong. I've been thinking a lot since yesterday, and realized I have a lot to learn." Carrie saw the sincerity in Annette's eyes and felt a bit more at ease. "I appreciate your apology, Annette. I hope this really changes how you see people." Annette nodded vigorously. "It will, I promise. And thank you for showing me that. I really am sorry." They said their goodbyes, and Carrie returned to her mother's office. Dr. Anna hugged her tightly. "I'm so proud of you, Carrie. It's not easy to confront these issues head-on." Carrie sighed, feeling the weight of the tension begin to lift. "I know, Mom, but it was necessary. I just hope it really makes a difference." The days that followed showed subtle changes in the clinic. Annette now made an effort to be more friendly and welcoming to everyone who entered, regardless of their appearance. Other employees, aware of the incident, also began to reflect on their own prejudices. On a Friday morning, while Carrie waited for her mother to finish a consultation, she overheard a conversation between Annette and another receptionist. "I've been thinking a lot about how we treat people here," Annette said, her voice serious. "We need to be more careful and respectful. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity." The other receptionist nodded. "You're right. Sometimes we judge without even realizing it. That needs to change." Carrie smiled discreetly, feeling that, despite everything, something positive was beginning to emerge. The clinic, which had once seemed just a place of work, was starting to transform into a more welcoming and inclusive environment. When she finally left with her mother that day, Carrie felt more hopeful. She knew there was still a long way to go, but each small victory was an important step. As they got into the car, Dr. Anna looked at Carrie with pride. "Shall we go home, dear?" she asked. Carrie nodded, a smile on her face. "Let's go, Mom. Today was a good day." The drive home was quiet, but Carrie felt a restlessness growing inside her. The recent incident at the clinic had reopened old wounds, and she knew her mother was also affected, despite her efforts to hide it. When they arrived home, both felt it was time to have a deeper conversation about everything they had faced. The drive home was quiet, but Carrie felt a restlessness growing inside her. The recent incident at the clinic had reopened old wounds, and she knew her mother was also affected, despite her efforts to hide it. When they arrived home, both felt it was time to have a deeper conversation about everything they had faced. Sitting in the living room, each with a cup of tea, Carrie began to speak. "Mom, there's something that has always bothered me," Carrie said, looking at the steam rising from her cup. "How did you deal with prejudice while growing up and becoming a doctor?" Dr. Anna sighed, recalling the many challenges she had faced. "It wasn't easy, Carrie. I grew up in a neighborhood where few girls believed they could become something big. But I always wanted to be a doctor. My father encouraged me a lot, saying I could be whatever I wanted." Carrie looked at her mother, curious. "And how was it in college? Did you face a lot of prejudice?" "Yes, quite a bit," Dr. Anna replied, her eyes distant. "I was one of the few women in the class and the only one from a humble background. Many colleagues doubted my abilities, and some professors didn't hide their prejudice, but I knew I had to be strong, not just for myself, but for everyone who believed in me." Dr. Anna smiled, a smile full of pain and pride. "I had a motto: every obstacle is an opportunity to prove my worth. I turned every negative comment into motivation to study harder and stand out. I remember a professor who said I would never be a good doctor. On my graduation day, he came to congratulate me and admitted he was wrong about me." Carrie smiled, but her face soon turned serious again. "Sometimes I feel like I don't belong anywhere. I'm not as light-skinned as you, and people are always surprised when I say you're my mother." "I know, dear," Dr. Anna said, holding Carrie's hand, "but the color of your skin doesn't define who you are. You are an amazing person, and those who don't see that are blinded by prejudice." Carrie reflected on her own experiences. "When I was little, I remember once at school. We were drawing our families, and the teacher was surprised when I drew you and Dad. She said I should have drawn my real family. I was so confused and hurt. Dr. Anna felt a deep pain hearing that. I wish I had known at the time. I could have talked to the teacher, but what's important is that you know we love you exactly as you are." Carrie took a deep breath, feeling a bit lighter. "I know, Mom, but those incidents, big and small, affect me. It's like I have to prove my worth and identity all the time." Dr. Anna nodded, understanding perfectly. "I felt that way many times too. But you're not alone. We'll face this together. And remember, every time you stand up against prejudice, you're changing the world, little by little." Carrie smiled, feeling the unconditional support of her mother. "Thanks, Mom. I think I need to hear that more often." Later that night, while Carrie was in her room, she reflected on their conversation. Looking in the mirror, she saw herself differently. Not as someone who doesn't fit in, but as someone who carries the strength and resilience of generations. The next day brought new challenges, but also a new determination. Carrie decided she wanted to share her story, not just to ease her own pain, but to help others facing the same prejudice. She thought about writing an article, or maybe starting an Instagram, something that could reach and inspire others. As she came down for breakfast, she found her mother already in the kitchen, preparing toast. "Mom, I was thinking," Carrie began hesitantly, "what if I started writing about our experiences? I think it could help others understand and maybe change things a little." Dr. Anna smiled, proud. "I think that's an excellent idea, Carrie. Your voice is powerful and can make a difference." Carrie felt encouraged. As they finished breakfast, she knew she was just beginning to discover the impact she could have on the world around her. Carrie spent the morning reflecting on the idea of sharing her experiences. The conversation with her mother the previous night had awakened a desire to turn her pain into something positive. She decided to start with an Instagram, a space where she could express her emotions and connect with others facing similar challenges. Sitting in her room with her laptop in front of her, Carrie began typing the first words of her Instagram. She chose the title "Porcelain Mirrors" to represent the duality of her life and the invisible barriers she faced. First post, Introduction. "Hello, I'm Carrie. This Instagram is a space to share my experiences as the daughter of a renowned doctor and a young woman who often feels out of place due to prejudice. I hope my stories can inspire and bring comfort to others who go through similar situations. Here, you will find sincere accounts and reflections on identity, belonging, and the constant struggle to be accepted." After publishing the introduction, Carrie felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. She knew she was taking an important step, but she also worried about people's reactions. She decided to leave the house and take a walk in the park to clear her mind. As she walked among the trees, Carrie encountered a group of friends from school. They were sitting on a bench, chatting animatedly. "Hey, Carrie!" called Emma, one of her closest friends. "Come sit with us." Carrie smiled and approached, sitting next to Emma and the others. "Hi, everyone. How are you?" "We're good," Emma replied. "And you? You seem to have a lot on your mind." Carrie hesitated for a moment, but decided it was time to be open about what was happening. "Actually, I do. I'm starting an Instagram to share my experiences with prejudice and identity. I think it can help others and also help me process everything I feel." Carrie's friends were silent for a moment, absorbing her words. Finally, Joel, one of her oldest friends, spoke. "That's amazing, Carrie. I think it's going to be really important, not just for you, but for many others. You've always been brave." Carrie smiled, feeling supported. "Thank you, Joel. I just want to do something positive with all of this." Emma nodded, placing a hand on Carrie's shoulder. "You always have our support. If you need help with the Instagram or just want to talk, we're here." Carrie thanked them and spent some time chatting with her friends, feeling lighter and more confident. Later, when she returned home, she found her mother in the kitchen, preparing dinner. "Hi, Mom. I'm back," Carrie said, walking in. "Hello, dear. How was your walk?" Dr. Anna asked, smiling. "It was good. I told my friends about the Instagram. They were really supportive," Carrie replied, sitting at the table. Dr. Anna smiled, pleased. "I'm glad to hear that. I'm sure your Instagram will be a great source of support and inspiration for many." In the following days, Carrie dedicated herself to writing more posts. She shared stories from her childhood, like the incident with the teacher who questioned her family, and other painful and transformative experiences. Each post was a step toward healing and a cry of resistance against prejudice. Meanwhile, at the clinic, changes continued. Annette, the receptionist, was more aware and sensitive in her interactions. Other staff members also began to reflect on their behaviors and attitudes. Dr. Anna noticed the subtle changes and felt proud of her daughter for provoking such a significant impact. One afternoon, while Carrie was at the clinic waiting for her mother, she received an unexpected email. It was from a young woman named Zoe, who had found her Instagram and felt deeply touched by the posts. "Hi, Carrie. My name is Zoe. I recently found your Instagram and wanted to thank you for sharing your stories. I've been going through similar situations, and reading your words gave me strength to face my own challenges. Thank you for being so brave and inspiring." Carrie felt tears well up as she read the email. It was confirmation that her Instagram was making a difference, even if it was just for one person. She replied to Zoe, expressing her gratitude and offering support. "Carrie, shall we go?" called Dr. Anna, coming out of her office. "Are you ready to go home?" Carrie stood up, putting away her phone. "Yes, Mom. Let's go." As they walked to the car together, Carrie felt strengthened by each small victory. She knew there was still a long way to go, but each step brought her closer to a world where she and others like her could be fully accepted and valued. Maintaining the Instagram account proved to be a bigger challenge than Carrie had imagined. With each post, she delved deep into her memories and feelings, reliving painful experiences to share them with the world. As her Instagram gained visibility, various reactions emerged. One Monday morning, Carrie sat at the kitchen table with her laptop open in front of her. Taking a sip of her coffee, she read some recent comments on her posts. "Carrie, your Instagram is amazing. I'm learning so much from your experiences. Keep it up," wrote a reader named Julia. But not all comments were positive. "You're exaggerating. The world isn't that bad. Maybe you're seeing things that aren't there," wrote an anonymous user. Carrie felt a pang in her heart reading the negative comments. She knew she couldn't please everyone, but the hostility and lack of understanding still affected her. Sighing, she closed the laptop and prepared to go to school. In the school hallway, Carrie met Emma, who greeted her with a warm hug. "Hey, Carrie, how's the Instagram going?" Emma asked with an encouraging smile. Carrie shrugged. "It's going well, I guess. I got some negative comments, which is kind of hard to deal with." Emma frowned. "Don't pay attention to those haters. Your Instagram is helping a lot of people, including me. It's normal for some people not to understand, but don't let that get you down." Carrie smiled, feeling a bit better. "Thanks, Emma. I'll try to focus on the positive comments." Later that day, while waiting for her mother at the clinic, Carrie encountered Annette, the receptionist, who seemed eager to talk to her. "Hi, Carrie. How are you?" Annette asked hesitantly. Carrie smiled, trying to be kind. "I'm good, Annette. How about you?" "Well, I read your Instagram," Annette said a bit nervously. "I didn't know how much you were going through. I want to apologize again for my behavior. I'm trying to learn and improve." Carrie was surprised but touched by Annette's sincerity. "Thank you for reading, Annette. I'm glad to know you're trying to change. It means a lot to me." Their conversation was interrupted by Dr. Anna's arrival, who smiled upon seeing them together. "Carrie, ready to go? I'm done for the day." In the car, Carrie told her mother about the negative comments and her conversation with Annette. "I understand how hard it is to deal with criticism, dear," Dr. Anna said as she drove. "But you're doing important work. Don't let the negative comments get to you. Focus on the people you're helping." Carrie nodded, feeling a bit stronger. That night, she decided to write a new post addressing the difficulties of dealing with criticism and the importance of continuing the fight against prejudice. New post: Persistence and Resilience. Maintaining this Instagram has been a challenging and rewarding experience. I've received many supportive comments, but also criticisms that are sometimes hard to digest. I want to remind everyone that the path to change is not easy. There will be obstacles and people who don't understand or agree. But it's important to keep going, even when it seems difficult. Every small victory is a step towards a more just and inclusive world. Let's continue together on this journey. After publishing the post, Carrie felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She knew the road ahead would be long and arduous, but she was determined to keep going. In the following days, Carrie received more messages of support. People shared their own stories of struggle and overcoming, creating a network of solidarity and understanding. She began to feel that she was not alone, and that her efforts were indeed making a difference. One afternoon at school, Joel approached her with an idea. He seemed excited. "Carrie, I was thinking, what if we organized a talk about prejudice and inclusion? We could invite speakers, and maybe you could share your experience too." Carrie was surprised by the suggestion, but also excited. "I think that's a great idea, Joel. That could really help raise awareness at school." They began planning the talk, involving other classmates and teachers. Carrie felt a new energy growing inside her. She was turning her pain into action and seeing the tangible results of her efforts. The week leading up to the lecture was intense for Carrie and her colleagues. They met several times in the school library, discussing details and dividing tasks. Carrie, although nervous, felt motivated by the energy and support of her friends. "We need to ensure that the message is clear and impactful," said Joel during one of the meetings. "This is a unique opportunity to open people's eyes." Emma, who was in charge of promotion, nodded. "I've spoken with the administration. They fully support the event and will help spread the word among teachers and students." Carrie was in charge of coordinating the guest speakers and preparing her own presentation. She decided to start by sharing her story and the challenges she faced, followed by testimonies from other speakers who had experienced different forms of prejudice. On the day of the lecture, the school auditorium was full. Students, teachers, and even some parents gathered, curious and anxious for the event. Seeing the number of people, Carrie felt a chill in her stomach, but the presence of her friends comforted her. "It will all go well, Carrie," said Emma, holding her hand. "We're all here with you." The school principal, Mr. Dano, took the stage to open the event. "Good afternoon, everyone. Today we have the opportunity to discuss an extremely important topic: prejudice and inclusion. I want to congratulate the students for organizing this event and for being willing to share their experiences. Without further ado, I invite Carrie to start the lecture." Carrie walked onto the stage to applause, holding the microphone with slightly trembling hands. She looked at the audience and began to speak. "Good afternoon. My name is Carrie, and I'm here to share my story with you. Growing up as the daughter of a renowned doctor, but feeling like I didn't belong, was a challenging experience. I faced prejudice in many forms, and it shaped who I am today." She spoke about the incident at the clinic, the painful conversations with her mother, and the decision to create the Instagram account Porcelain Mirrors. As she spoke, she saw attentive faces and some teary eyes in the audience. The sincerity and emotion in her words resonated with many. But I'm not alone in this fight. Many people face prejudice every day, and that's why we're here today, Carrie continued, to listen, learn, and change. She introduced the first speaker, Toby, a student who faced bullying for being gay. Toby shared his story of pain and overcoming, and the audience reacted with empathy and applause. Next, it was Kira's turn, a teacher who faced racial discrimination during her career. She spoke about the challenges of being a black woman in a predominantly white environment and how it affected her professional journey. Listening to Toby and Kira's stories, Carrie felt a deep connection with them. Each account brought to light the harsh reality of prejudice, but also showed the resilience and strength of those who faced it. After the guest speakers, Carrie returned to the stage to conclude the lecture. The stories we've heard today are just a few among many. Prejudice can manifest in various forms, but together we can fight it. Thank you all for being here and for being willing to listen and learn. The audience gave a standing ovation, and Carrie felt a wave of emotion. After the event, many people approached to congratulate her and share their own experiences. "Carrie, your speech was very inspiring," said a student named Rosalie. "I also face prejudice for being the daughter of immigrants, and your words gave me strength." Carrie smiled, feeling an immediate connection with Rosalie. "Thank you, Rosalie. I'm glad to know my story can help in some way." As Carrie talked with the participants, Joel approached, looking enthusiastic. "Carrie, that was incredible. I'm so proud of you. I think this is just the beginning of something much bigger." Emma, who was beside him, nodded vigorously. "I agree. We need to continue with these initiatives, maybe even expand to other schools." Carrie felt her heart warm with the support of her friends. "Yes, we have a lot of work ahead, but today was a big step." Principal Mr. Dano also approached, visibly moved. "You all did something truly significant today. I hope we can continue working together to create a more inclusive environment in our school." The lecture had been a success, but the following week was full of ups and downs for Carrie. She received praise and words of encouragement from many peers and teachers, but also faced criticism and judgment that deeply affected her. On Monday, upon arriving at school, Carrie was greeted by Emma and Joel, who congratulated her again. "Carrie, you were amazing!" exclaimed Emma, hugging her. "Everyone is talking about the lecture." Joel nodded. "Yes, you really made a difference. But I've heard some unpleasant comments too." "Are you okay?" Carrie forced a smile. "I'm trying to focus on the positive things. But yes, it's been tough." As she walked through the hallways, she noticed some critical looks and heard whispers of disapproval. Approaching her locker, she found an anonymous note pinned to the door. "Stop playing the victim," read the message in bold letters. Carrie felt a lump in her throat, but tried to ignore it and move on with her day. In history class, the teacher called her after the lesson to talk. "Carrie, I wanted to congratulate you on the lecture," he said, smiling. "It was brave and inspiring. However, some students and even some teachers are saying that you're exaggerating the situation. They think you're creating problems where there aren't any." Carrie took a deep breath, trying to hold back tears. "I just wanted to share my experiences and help combat prejudice. I didn't expect everyone to understand, but it's hard to hear this. I understand. I just want you to know you have my support," said the teacher, lightly touching her shoulder. During lunch, Carrie sat with Emma and Joel. They talked about the comments they'd heard. "It's amazing how some people just don't want to listen," said Joel, frustrated. "They'd rather pretend prejudice doesn't exist." Emma agreed. "Yes, but we can't let that discourage us. Carrie, you're doing a great job, and these criticisms only show that we're stirring something important." Carrie nodded, trying to feel encouraged. "Thanks, guys. I just need some time to process all this." In the afternoon at the clinic, Dr. Anna noticed her daughter was quieter than usual. While preparing dinner, she tried to start a conversation. "Carrie, you seem worried. What's going on?" Carrie sighed, feeling the weight of the criticisms. "Some people didn't like the lecture, Mom. They're saying I'm exaggerating and playing the victim. It's hard to deal with this after everything." Dr. Anna stopped what she was doing and approached Carrie. "Honey, there will always be people who won't understand or who will feel threatened by the truth. What's important is that you're doing something positive and necessary. Don't let these criticisms bring you down." Carrie smiled, feeling a bit stronger with her mother's words. "Thanks, Mom. I know you understand." At school, the challenges continued. Some peers who had been friendly before started avoiding her, while others made sarcastic comments about Instagram and the lecture. During a biology class, Carrie was confronted by a group of students. "So, Carrie, when's the next lecture to teach us how to think?" one of them asked mockingly. Carrie took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. The lecture was about sharing experiences and learning from them. If you weren't interested, that's okay, but it doesn't mean it wasn't important to others. The group laughed, but one of the students, Rosalie, approached Carrie afterward. "Don't mind them. I found the lecture very inspiring. You're very brave to talk about this." Carrie smiled, grateful for the support. "Thanks, Rosalie. Sometimes it feels like I'm fighting a losing battle, but comments like yours help me keep going." The following days were an emotional roller coaster. Carrie continued to receive supportive messages on Instagram and emails from people who felt touched by her words. However, the persistent criticisms at school left her uneasy. One afternoon, while walking home, she received an unexpected message from Zoe, the reader who had corresponded with her earlier. "Carrie, I heard about the criticisms you're facing. I just wanted you to know that you have my full support. Your voice is important, and many people are listening. Don't give up." Carrie stopped and took a deep breath, feeling a wave of gratitude. Zoe's message was a reminder that her work had value and impact. Arriving home, she sat at the kitchen table with her mother. "Mom, I got a message from Zoe today. She reminded me why I started all this." Dr. Anna smiled, squeezing her daughter's hand. "That's wonderful, Carrie. Always remember the purpose behind your actions. The criticisms will come, but you're making a difference." Carrie sat in her room, reflecting on the emotional roller coaster her life had been over the past few months. From the incident at the clinic with the receptionist Annette, to the school lecture and the flood of diverse reactions, she had matured and learned a lot about herself and the world around her. That evening, Dr. Anna entered her daughter's room, sitting next to her on the bed. "Carrie, you've been incredibly strong. I'm very proud of you," said Anna, hugging her daughter. "Thanks, Mom. It's been a tough journey, but I know I'm on the right path," Carrie replied with a determined smile. "You know, this whole situation reminded me of the incident at the clinic," said Anna thoughtfully. "Annette was fired after that day. The clinic's management doesn't tolerate prejudice, and they decided she didn't fit the values we want to represent." Carrie looked at her mother surprised. "I didn't know that. I'm relieved to know the clinic took action, but at the same time, I hope Annette learned something from all this." "I hope so too. Sometimes consequences are necessary for people to really change," replied Anna, holding Carrie's hand. In the days that followed, Carrie continued to receive messages of support and face criticism, but now she felt she could handle anything. She decided to turn her experiences into concrete actions. She began planning new initiatives for inclusion and diversity at school, with the help of Emma and Joel. One afternoon, during a meeting with the group, Joel brought up an idea. "Carrie, I was thinking, what if we started a debate club at school? We could discuss topics like prejudice, inclusion, and other important issues. It would be a way to continue the conversation and educate more people." Carrie loved the idea. "That's great, Joel. Let's make it happen." With the school's support, the debate club was created. Carrie and her friends organized weekly meetings where students could openly discuss their experiences and learn from each other. The club quickly gained popularity, and more students began joining, interested in promoting change. Meanwhile, the Instagram account, Porcelain Mirrors, continued to grow. Carrie received emails from people across the country, sharing their own stories of struggle and overcoming. One of the most touching messages came from a young woman named Amanda. "Carrie, your words gave me the strength to face the prejudice I deal with every day at my school. Thank you for being a voice for all of us who often feel invisible." Carrie replied to Amanda with gratitude, feeling that her mission was just beginning. Every story she received motivated her to keep going. On the last day of school before the holidays, the school organized a special assembly to recognize Carrie's work and the debate club. Principal Mr. Dano took the stage to make the announcement. "Today we want to celebrate the positive impact our students are making in our community. Carrie, please come up to the stage." Surprised, Carrie walked up to the stage amidst applause. Mr. Dano smiled at her, holding a certificate. "Carrie, your work has been inspiring to all of us. On behalf of the school, I want to thank you for your dedication and courage. This certificate is a recognition of your contribution to promoting inclusion and respect in our school." Carrie accepted the certificate with tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Mr. Dano. And thank you, everyone. This is just the beginning. Together we can make a big difference." At the end of the assembly, Carrie found Emma and Joel, who hugged her warmly. "You deserve this, Carrie. We're so proud of you," said Emma, emotional. "And I can't wait to see what we do next," added Joel, with an excited smile. That night at home, Carrie reflected on everything that had happened. From the incident at the clinic to the lecture and the creation of the debate club, she had grown immensely. She had learned that the fight against prejudice was constant, but every small step was a victory. Sitting on her bed, Carrie opened her laptop and started writing a new Instagram post. New post, a new beginning. "Today more than ever, I feel we are on the right path. The road to inclusion and respect is long and full of challenges, but each step we take brings us closer to a fair and equal world. I want to thank everyone who has supported me and everyone who is willing to fight for this cause. This is just the beginning of a new journey, and I'm excited to see where it takes us." Carrie published the post, feeling a wave of satisfaction and hope. She closed the laptop and looked at the mirror, seeing not just her reflection, but the strength and determination that now defined who she was. Over the next few months, Carrie continued to work for what she believed in. The debate club grew, the Instagram account gained more followers, and she was invited to speak at other schools and events. Each day was a new beginning, a new opportunity to make a difference. We hope you enjoyed Carrie's inspiring journey in our story. We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. What did you think about the moment when Carrie confronted the new receptionist at her mother's clinic? Do you think Carrie handled the situation well, or would you have approached it differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with your friends. Your support helps us create more amazing content for you. Thank you for being a part of our community. Let's keep the conversation going. Now see this story. Even after her death, Ellen returns from beyond and, in a surprising way, takes revenge on her unfaithful husband. Click on the video appearing on your screen now, and I'll meet you there in a few seconds.